Hi, I'm Kimberly Jolly from the Fat Quarter Shop, and today Sherri McConnell of A Quilting Life is going to guide us through Block 7 of the Bella Skillbuilder Quilt. Use a 2.0 stitch length and press according to the pattern.
Okay, so we're going to take our 10-inch square of our white background fabric and our 10-inch square of our Caribbean fabric, and we're going to be making half square triangles. We're going to start out by drawing a diagonal line on the wrong side of the white fabric. We're going to draw another line 1/4 of an inch away, using that diagonal line to line up. And we're going to do that again. And then we're actually going to do the other diagonal too, so it's perpendicular to the first one. We're going to do the same thing, draw a diagonal line, and then 1/4 of an inch away, and do one final line on this fabric, 1/4 of an inch away. So we've got our sewing lines drawn. We're going to put it together with our Caribbean fabric. It's good to put a couple pins in so that it doesn't shift while you're sewing. This is a bigger piece of fabric and you don't want it to move. And then you're going to make 4 seams. You're going to stitch on the 2 outer diagonal lines going this way, and you're going to stitch on the 2 outer diagonal lines going that way. And when you're done stitching, you'll have a piece that looks like this. You can see the stitching lines on the back. And now it's time to make 2 of these with the Caribbean fabric, and 2 of these with the raspberry fabric, 1 with the gray, and 1 with the teak. Okay, now it's time to trim these units, and we're actually going to cut them into quarters. And you have really good center lines there where the diagonals intersect. And so you're going to cut like that, and you're going to do it again. So we've ended up with 4 squares. And now we need to cut these on that diagonal line, that first line that we drew. So now we've got all of these, and we will be trimming them. Okay, next we're going to trim the half square triangle units using the Creative Grids half square 4-in-1 triangle ruler. And this is a really fun little tool. It's a little bit different. We're going to trim before we press, and we're going to line up the seam line with the 4-inch mark on the ruler.
Now, so your stitch line.
Right, the stitch line. And all of these markings on the ruler are finished block sizes. So we're going to trim both sides and get rid of those little extras. And we're going to press this open. We're going to make 16 with the Caribbean, and we're going to make 16 with the raspberry, and we're going to make 8 with the gray, and we are going to make 8 with the teak. Okay, next we're going to assemble the half square triangles and squares into 2 of the sections that we need for our block. For this section, we're going to take 3 background squares in white and 1 of the Caribbean white half square triangles. Make this, and we're going to make 2 of these, and then we're going to take 1 raspberry square, a Caribbean half square triangle, and 2 raspberry half square triangles, and make the second unit, and we're also going to make 2 of these units. Okay, we're going to take those 4 units and we're going to put them together to make the center section of our block. Okay, we're going to take 4 half square triangles, 2 raspberry and 2 Caribbean. We're going to lay them out in like this, and we're going to make this unit we will be pressing the seams open between the half square triangles, and we will make 4 of these. So we're going to add 2 outer units to our center block section, and then with the other 2 outer units we're going to add 2 fabric C, the white, squares to either end of each one. And then we're going to sew these units together, and we will have completed our first block. Okay, we're going to start our second block now, and we're going to use a square of white and a square of raspberry. We're going to mark our sewing lines on our white square, and we're going to use the Creative Grids half square 4-in-1 triangle ruler. It has a black line that goes all the way across the bottom of the ruler, and we're going to line that up on the diagonal, and we're going to draw on that edge of the ruler. And then for our second sewing line, there are these little slots right here. We're going to draw right inside of those slots, and it gives us our sewing lines without having to actually draw that center line like we sometimes do. So we're going to layer the squares together, right sides together, and we're going to sew on the 2 drawn lines. And after we do that, we've got a unit that looks like this, and we're going to use this triangle half square 4-in-1 triangle ruler again to trim. This time we're going to line that bottom of the ruler up with the diagonal and the black line with one of our stitching lines, and we'll cut that exactly in half. So we will have this unit. I press the seams open, and now we're ready to use 2 of these half square triangle units to make a quarter square triangle.
And you're going to make 4 of these, and you don't have to trim your dog ears because of what we do in the next step.
Exactly. Okay, we're going to take those half square triangle units, and now we're going to make quarter square triangles. We're going to take 2 half square triangle units. We're going to put them right sides together. We're going to match our seam lines, and we are going to pin. We want to keep these together so that our seams are matched up. Well, actually, I'm going to keep that pin off until I draw this line. So we're going to draw the lines just like we did to make the half square triangles with the Creative Grids half square 4-in-1 triangle ruler. We're going to line up that long black line with the diagonals, and we're going to draw a line right along that edge, and then we're going to do our second sewing line right in this groove. And this ensures that those 2 stitching lines are exactly where they need to be. Okay, we're going to make sure it's pinned, and then we're going to sew on those 2 drawn lines, which will give us this unit. You can tell already we're going to have 2 quarter square triangles. We're going to cut just like we did a minute ago. We're going to use this ruler. We're going to line it up, the black line on our stitching line. We're going to cut on the diagonal, and that will give us 2 quarter square triangle units. So we're going to make 4 of these all together. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to trim the quarter square triangle blocks. We are going to use the Creative Grids 4.5-inch square ruler, and it has a diagonal line across it that we can line up with our diagonal seam. Make sure that all of the edges of the ruler are inside the block, and get the diagonal on one of your diagonal seams, and then you're going to trim all 4 sides so that our quarter square triangle will be exactly 4.5 inches square. It takes off all those dog ears, and it gives us our perfect 1/4 inch triangle. And we need to make 4 of these for our block. Okay, now we're going to create the center unit of this block, which is actually an Ohio star. And we're going to take the 4 quarter square triangles that we used, and we're going to take 4 background squares and 1 square of the raspberry fabric, and we're going to put them together just like the diagram in your pattern and make the block center section. Okay, now we're going to make our outside units. We're going to take 2 half square triangles with the gray fabric and 1 square with the white fabric and sew them together, and we will be making 4 of these outside units. Okay, it's time to put this block together. We're going to sew 2 outside units to the left and right sides of our Ohio Star Center, and then we're going to take 4 of the teak half square triangles, and we're going to sew them on the ends of the other outer units, and we're going to put that all together, and you'll have your second block finished.
That's all for this month. Come back next month for our next Skill Builder block. See you then.